Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline, and unfortunately for the listeners or watchers, this episode is all about the Darkest Timeline. I'm going to convince you that we are living in the Darkest Timeline and just quite how dark it is. Yes, there's a little bit of a moaner, a ranter, whatever you want to call it. One of the ones that I try not to do as much these days. I try and be a little bit more positive and a little bit more chipper, but I'm not feeling super positive or chipper at the moment. So we're talking hearing tests. Yeah. Everything that's wrong with the world. It's a list, let's put it that way. Cars, weight belts, and reaching out. There's TV, movies, and do check out this movie and this episode. I was going to say this week, but the movie in this episode is up there. There's computer games and there is VR computer games as well. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And do share it around. I mean, this might not be the best example of one to share with a friend, like, hey, listen to this, it's this guy ranting and raving, but, maybe share a different episode and then they can just pass over this one. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline. Hello! How you doing? I will, for this episode and this episode only, I will double back to my usual sort of what's become more recent opening for a very specific reason. I will now dive into me saying that I'm going to start the podcast early and then not. The standard stuff. Warning. This podcast is going to feature grumpy me, ranting. Yes. Here's what, like I said, I was going to double back to this. Here's why I always ask, how people are doing and stuff. The last week, for me personally, has been one of the worst weeks I have had in a long time. More so than the fact that I forgot to open this bottle. So, the last week has been one of the worst weeks I have had in years at this point. Just at that sort of point where you think, things are maybe going okay. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, the horizon. I'm sure there's a horizon one. Life looks at you and thinks, hang on a minute. Did you just for 1 second think that things were going to be okay? That's categorically wrong. And let me just get us all back on track here and kick you swiftly in the balls repeatedly. Every time I kick you in the balls, you're going to think, wow, that was a swift kick to the balls, worst possible thing. But hey, it's over now. It was just a one-off. and now I can recover. No. Multiple. I'm looking at if I'm honest, I'm looking at my list and I'm like, okay, there's just this one big piece of the podcast. And there are other things around it which aren't as bad. Some of them is actually good. And I just need you to know that I'm going to get a little ranty. Because for a multitude of different reasons, I personally, at this point in time, I'm struggling. Unfortunately, part of my struggle is I don't see that changing anytime soon. Let's talk about let's ease in gently, shall we? I got new earphones. And apart from the initial teething troubles, I have moved into the phase of, I just about get these enough to be able to use them. And that's kind of where I end up with most things in life. If I can use it, I'm away. Up to that point, everything's rubbish. And past that point, I'm like, I don't know if I need to know. I had a conversation at work today and it was like, oh, those earphones you got, they can do this thing, can't they? I was like, yeah, they can. They're like, oh, how does it work? I was like, I have no fucking idea. I have never used it up to this point and I'm probably never going to use it. And the person I was talking to was trying to get the function to kick in. I was like, I'm pretty sure you probably have to do a load of other stuff. Sign up to something, sign your life away, give them your firstborn child, and so on. And I was like, and I don't care. However, saying that there are things that they can do that I don't care about, I was going through some of the settings and stuff, and I saw this thing. And it was like, because one of the features for these earphones is that they can basically become like hearing devices if needed. Like if you're like, I think I'm, struggling with my hearing, and they'd be like, yes, you are actually, having trouble with hearing, and we can help you. We can amplify certain noises, turn other noises down. We can make your hearing better. Essentially turn them into like a sort of hearing aid in a sense. To do this, your earphones can do a hearing test. And I was like, Now, a little bit of backstory here. I truly believe that through a series of events, one in particular being hugging a 12-foot tall speaker for shits and giggles in a nightclub, many live music performances with no ear protection whatsoever, and a whole host of other things, including having a child that I'm pretty sure I ended up getting tinnitus from because their screaming was a certain pitch. I am pretty sure that one of my ears is really bad, and my hearing in general is pretty bad. I suffer from tinnitus, and more recently, one of my favourite things is I've started hearing things, not like that, more like I'm not going crazy sort of hearing things. Like you'll be like doing something and it's like, oh, what's that noise? And it's like, there is no noise. It's like, okay, cool, that's my ears then. That kind of thing. Not, I'm hearing voices. I mean, I do hear voices, but, nothing, that's not a new development. So, I tried to do the hearing test at one point and it was like, oh, no, the environment you're in is too noisy. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just do it when I get home. Now, weirdly, that was exactly a week ago. I recorded the podcast, and then while the podcast was coding and etc., I did the hearing test. And on a multitude of different levels, I will say this. One of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had, genuinely. I was saying to someone today, I felt like I needed to check my watch to see what my pulse was by the time I finished. So, everybody's probably heard about that room that where there's the challenge where if you go in, it's like the quietest room in the world. Like they've got like sound dampening and all of the tricks of the trade to make it so that there's no sound. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of vacuum going on as well. There's no sound, and apparently if you stay in there more than an hour, you'll lose your mind. And I think it's fair to say that everybody hears that and goes, yeah, I could do it. I'll give it a go. I'll certainly give it a try, you just sing a song in your head or something, etc. I've recently changed my opinion on that because the first thing your earphones do when you do the hearing test is they put noise cancelling on and cancel all external sound. I mean all. Because the first thing that it tells you is you need to put your earphones in and you need to make it so that they're like snug. Job done. They then turn on the noise cancelling, which shuts out all noise outside of your head. So the only two things I could hear was my breathing, which obviously that's not me hearing it on the outside, that's me hearing it on the inside, and heartbeat. That's how bad it was. Then it's like, right, we're going to test one ear at a time, so we're going to do left ear first. It's like, when you hear a sound, press the screen. I was like, I can do this. So it's going on and on and on and on and on, and I'm tapping. But as time goes on, I'm like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Who knows? My left ear is the bad one. Time goes on. It takes a really long time to do. Really long time. And by the time I got to the end, I was like, holy fucking shit balls, man. This is starting to freak me out. I can't hear anything other than what's coming through the earphone. I'm starting to be really aware of my breath and my heartbeat and stuff, and I was starting to freak out a little. So then I'm like, right, okay, I've just got the right to do. The right ear is better. I know this because that's how I work. My right ear is the better ear. So this should go quicker. It absolutely did not. I'm doing it now, like I'm struggling to breathe now. Towards the back end of this hearing test, part of me was like, I think I'm going to have to bail on this. I think I'm just going to have to quit out of this because I can't do this. I couldn't hear anything. I'm pressing the screen. It's taking longer and longer and longer. I'm like, the left ear didn't take this long. This did not take this long before. I am freaking out. Heart's going, chest going, breathing. I think all of that's happening just so I can hear something. And like I say, I'm not hearing it. It's internal. I'm struggling to breathe right now. I'm like, finally got the test done. Got the earphones out immediately. Was like, flipping Norma. That was intense. Heart's going a mile a minute. Breathing's going crazy. And then I get the results. And it's like, congratulations, you passed your hearing test. I was like, the fuck? It's like, yep, your ears are fine. I was like, oh, wow. So there we go. After all of that, passed my hearing test. And when I say pass my hearing test, I am fully aware that that was done on, a set of earphones and a phone. It's not like going to like an actual hearing place and getting them to actually test my ears. But yes, that's I guess. Passed. Took a screenshot to celebrate. One was a lot better or worse than the other. I don't know which way around it is. Should the number be higher or lower? Lower might be better. Anyway, a pass is a pass is a pass. Right, this is the ranty bit. One of the ranty bits. There's another one coming later. I'm breaking it up though, using the shit sandwich method. There'll be a small interlude in between. This is just overall, this is how I'm feeling about life, the world, the way things are, the way things are going, the way things are going to be, the fact that I don't really like any of it, whilst simultaneously liking it. Some of it I'm like, this is great, but I don't want it. I'll explain. I feel like everything's too much at the moment. I feel like everything's just too much. I feel like the world is spinning at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I just like to step off just for a minute. The thing I was saying about like the way I felt doing that hearing test, that's how I feel like daily. And I'm aware that, like, you know, certain people will be like, well, this is, you know, it's the people that suffer with like anxiety and panic attacks and all of this. That's how they feel. This is what they've been going through all this time. And, you know, people just dismiss it and that's possibly true. That's potentially true. I don't know. I'm just talking from my perspective. So, I've made a list. First thing on the list is technology. I think in a lot of ways I look at technology and think, are we really not further forward? Where's the flying cars? Petrol, diesel, should they still be a thing? Should every home not have solar panels as standard? You know, should we not just be rolling these things out? A wind turbine in your back garden, solar panels on your roof, and somehow work out a way to fit a windmill to the side of your house. Not a windmill, a water wheel to the side of your house. I'm all for that. Absolutely. So there's a part of me that's like, we're not far enough forward. I was saying something the other day. I was like, when the iPhone 3 was released, their biggest claim was that it didn't come with an instruction manual because it was so intuitive to use. All you had to think was, well, where would I naturally go to find it? And it'd be there. And their thing was, if you really need one, you can download one, you can request one, but there is no instruction manual for this phone because it's so intuitive. Do you honestly believe that Apple are going to release anything these days with no instruction manual? Or anybody at this point in time? Technology is so much worse than it was. And that's saying, like, you know, well, all of it's advanced. It has, but it's also gone backwards as well. We're not better off. We're not further forward. It just looks prettier and it goes faster. However, getting to the pretty thing and the fast thing is like doing brain surgery with your mouth. It feels like technology is handcuffing you by being worse. I'll give you an example. I've recently gone from one laptop to another laptop. I'll keep it a little bit vague for reasons. I've gone from one laptop to another laptop. One laptop was perfectly fine, did absolutely everything I needed it to. The new laptop is categorically worse in almost every way. Does not do like 30% of the stuff I want it to. And I hate absolutely everything about it. every time I turn it on, I basically have to set it up like it's brand new, because it doesn't seem to be able to remember anything. It's like, oh, I want to put this here. So this lives here. So next time I come to this, it should be here. No, it's not. Never is. I'd like to open this screen, this window, on this part of the screen. No, we're going to open it somewhere else that you don't want. Okay, cool. I'd like to be able to find this. Every time I use this laptop, I'd like to be able to find this. Okay, you won't be able to. Cool. And it's just that. Constantly. It's okay, though, because it wants to be able to use your face to log in. Oh, I don't want to do that, thank you. Oh, then you can't get in. Well, fuck you very much, is what I have to say to that. After the fourth attempt, it relinquished and said, okay, you can set up a PIN number if you like. Here's some of the stuff that I like and don't. There's about 10 movies that I would like to watch. Some of them are new, some of them I've seen before, some of them I'm like, man, I really like that film. Sort of deal. I look at them and I go, right, firstly, I'm not going to buy this one or buy that one or buy the other one, price-wise. So that's that. I'll just put them in once they come down in price, I'll buy them. But there's all the other ones. There's all the other movies, either movies I own, movies I can get cheaply, money that I'd happily pay for them because I'd like to see them or I've seen them before and think, yeah, I'd like to watch those again. So there's that realm. Then there's, this movie is 3 hours long. Or like the movie I'm watching at the moment, 4 hours long. Where do we, as people, have the time to fit in a 4-hour movie? Or a 3-hour movie? 2 hours? I watched a 1 hour 20-minute movie the other night and felt like I was pressed for time. Should we talk TV shows? TV shows. Let's talk TV. There's about 10. Now I know I've already used the number 10, but this is not an exaggeration. I can list them for you if you'd like. There is about 10 TV shows I'd like to watch. Currently, a couple of them I'd have to buy. So for now, let's put them to one side. A couple of them I own. Okay, well, it's TV show, so, even if it's a 20-minute episode, you've still got 10, 12, 13, 20 plus episodes. One of the TV shows I'm watching at the moment, their series are like 23 episodes at 50 minutes a pop. Do the maths on that one. Okay, let's say I'm coming to the end of series 3 of Blacklist, and what we've been doing is we've been saying, okay, we'll watch series, then we'll watch something else, then we'll watch series, then we'll watch something else. That's fair. We're getting to the end of series 3 of Blacklist. So what do we go on to? Season 2 of Peacemaker? That Terminal, this one, Dark Wolf or something. I can't think of the other one that I've literally just seen earlier. I'd like to watch Creature Commandos. Everything I've seen of that series looks awesome. I'd really like to watch it. It's, £15 for something like 12 episodes. I'm like, it's like £1 something an episode. I'm fine with that. Tulsa King Season 3 has just started. I'm absolutely going to be watching that at some point. When? I don't know. Computer games. You want to talk computer games? Okay, here we go. let's talk about computer games. I already have a Christmas list. It's mostly made up of computer games. They are computer games that I am absolutely interested in. Is there a part of me that already thinks, probably won't get around to playing them though? You know, like all the hundreds of other games that I have access to that I never get around to playing. It's alright though, because the two games I'm playing at the moment, I've put a combined 300 hours into. Anyway. Activities. I've written down activities. What do you mean by that, Mr. Cook? Well, let's talk activities. So activities are when you sit there and think, what we're going to do at the weekend? What we're going to do at the weekend? Well, I've got a list of things that I'd like to do at the weekend. Ranging from things as simple as I have a flagstone I need to lay. There you go. Yep. Do you think I'm going to get a chance to do that? Saturday, you think? Saturday sounds like a good day to lay a flagstone. Oh, I'm out in the morning and the afternoon, and then by the time I get home, it'll be the evening. So there's that. Sunday, possibly. But then there's like, I've had this thing recently that I've had so many ideas of things to do with the children that I've ended up being like, here we are, sitting in the house. That is, there is also something else about that which I'll double back to. My youngest daughter said to me, I was like, what do you want to do at the weekend? And she was like, I'd like to do this with my sisters. And I went, who the fuck's, I mean, not obviously, but in my head, I was like, who the fuck's paying for that? And then I went, oh shit, me. You think I'm going to pay? No, absolutely not. That is my answer for most things at the moment. Again, I'll come back to it. Meals. You want to talk meals? I've got at this point, laundry list of meals I would like to make. Some of them are for the kids. Some of them are for myself. Some of them are, I saw a random video on Instagram at some point in time. I was like, oh, that looks fun. I feel like just being absolutely bombarded at the moment. So that's one side of things. Let's talk the other side of things, shall we? So, there was an announcement this week that digital ID cards are going to be mandatory in the UK. Yeah, you can go fuck yourself on that one. And I'm not even going to go into it. The thought of the fact that we live in a world where that has ended up being even a consideration is genuinely terrifying to me. And then people start looking into it and it's like, oh, did you know that this person is really pushing for this? Yeah, they stand to make like 375 million off the back of it because that's, you know, a thing. It's like, oh, well, no idea why they would be pushing for that then. Like I say, it's a whole thing and I really don't want to go into it because we'll be here till the end of time on that one. Having substantial issues at work. Again, it's kind of a personal thing. I don't really want to go into it. It's like, you know, I feel in this super limbo state at the moment where I'm just like, what is the right thing to do here? But if you think about like how much time you spend working and how much time you spend like in the work environment, doing work, thinking about work, trying to like make things work at work, and it's so much of your time. So it's kind of a big thing. Money, the root of all evil. And it really, really is evil, because when you've got it, you think everything's fine and you think everything's going to be fine. And then, like I said before, life has a tendency of saying, hey, it's not fine. It's never going to be fine. Just so you know, it will never be okay. I need you to know that. And you're like, but I put so much time and effort in, and I worked really hard to make it so it works. And life goes, yeah, you did. But I need you to know it's never going to be okay. It's never going to work. I just need you to know, so that when this keeps coming up in the future, you're not surprised by it. My eldest daughter watched a TV show on Saturday night. TV show was 45 to 50 minutes long. She watched it on a streaming service who shall remain nameless because I ain't giving them the time of fucking day. 45 to 50 minute, including opening credits. In the 45 to 50 minutes that she was watching this TV show on a streaming service that we pay for, she had 4 advert breaks. 2 of them so close together that I was pretty sure that there'd been no actual TV show in between. And the 4th one, the absolute best, number 1 position to put an advert 2 minutes before the end of the show. And I went storming into the room. I was like, is this another advert break? She was like, yeah. I was like, this is the 4th one. It's a 45-minute TV episode. This is obscene at this point. Now then, genuinely, if it had been me, I could have just about gritted my teeth through the first one. By the second one, I'd have turned it off. And genuinely, from this point on, and I keep saying this, and I keep doing it, I need you to know, I need you to understand that I keep doing it, and I will keep doing it. There is a streaming service that we have access to in our house, paid for, that I actively do not use. So yes, it's in our house, and we pay for it, and there is access to it. I actively do not use it. Personally, I think the only people that do use it are the children. And when I say children, I'm now starting to think that it might just be my son that uses it. And the thing he uses it for, they don't put the adverts on. So I'm a bit like, he seems to be winning this one, but it's only a matter of time. I use 2 streaming services. One, I pay an absolute fucking fortune for, purely because I cannot do the adverts. For as far as the children are concerned, I can't subject them to it. I pay a fortune for that streaming service, and I had a thing the other day. Oh, by the way, we're putting our service up again. So that leaves the 3rd one, and the 3rd one, when I use it, you know, the streaming service that I pay for, when I use it and an advert comes on, I can just about grit my teeth. The moment another advert comes on, I turn it off. I can't, and I won't. And speaking of my least favourite subject, This is one of those things that I think I was so shocked by that I don't think I have quite processed it or dug down deep into the nitty-gritty of this. But I'm going to do it now, to a degree. I was listening to a podcast. Okay? Podcast. We're all on the same page. Now, podcasts have adverts. The podcast is a free thing unless, it's one of those paid for ones. Anyway, podcasts free. Adverts free. They kind of go hand in hand, so you're kind of in a bit of a, okay. Which is why the streaming thing is such utter horseshit. Because you pay. So what it's basically saying is you pay for the adverts, and then they get paid for the adverts, and everybody's paying for fucking adverts. I'm listening to a podcast today, this morning, Morning Run. It went into a new podcast, different podcast, and it was like, oh, here we go, we're going to have to get through the adverts, so I'll just skip. As I went to skip, the adverts started, and I went, fuck's sake. And that was when I got an advert for a service where I live. And I went, what the actual fuck just happened? So, targeted advertising. Now, I was like, how the hell have they managed that? So there has to be so let's get into it. There has to be some sort of system that registers where you are when you download that podcast. It then has to have a series of different ways of being able to say, well, you've downloaded it from here, so we're just going to add the name of your city to this advert, whether that's pre-saved or, more likely, AI. So they've gone, you've downloaded it here, we're going to send you an advert specifically for the area you live in. And I was like, oh my God, that is such an incredible invasion of privacy. I am fucking sick to my stomach on that one. Because all this, oh, please don't track me, and oh, I don't want you to track me, and oh, I'm going to say no to these additional things, and oh, I don't want that. And none of it matters. Because ultimately, they're just going to get you another way. A targeted advert for a product that I am never going to buy. So what is the point? Somebody needs to tell me. Shortest version is, I'm like, it's all just too much. And yes, I know, oh, first world problems, and oh, you got too many TV shows to watch, and oh, you got too many movies to watch. It's all by design. It's all by design. It's all designed around you not lifting your head up and looking around at all the people that are fucking you. That's all it's designed for. Bill Hicks talked about the way the world was going to be in the future. This was in the 90s, and it has never been more poignant than it is right now, because I'm pretty sure he nailed it 30-something years ago. I'm pretty sure he got it nailed on all those years ago. I hurt my back. If only there was an advert that could, tell me how to fix it, or, sell me a medication that'll make me shit out my eyes but sort my back pain. I hurt my back. And I hurt like so many parts of my body are hurt at the moment. I've even got to the point now where I'm like, I think I'm going to have to shell out the money for some sort of deep tissue massage. Like right now, I'm sitting here talking to you, my neck is fucking killing me because of the way I'm sat, because I should be sat facing on, and I like to stretch my legs out because I can't get my legs under the desk because of all the fucking cables and monitors and shit. Hurt my back. Hurt my back bad to the point that I couldn't stand up properly to walk and everything that goes with it. I was struggling in the gym. And I said, hey, we've been here before. This is not my first rodeo. And many moons ago, I bought a weight belt. So, time to break out that bad boy. Got the weight belt, went into the gym, put the weight belt on and went, holy shit balls. I was really happy. One time the last time I used my weight belt, I was really happy because I managed to get down to the second notch and actually took the end of the belt into the belt loop, which previous to that I was unable to do. Put my weight belt on last Wednesday, I think it was, and I couldn't do it up anymore. Because where I needed to do it up, there weren't any holes. Yep. 8 sets of holes are not enough. If there'd have been 16 sets of holes, they wouldn't have been enough, if I'm honest. Can't physically do my weight belt up. I have to use a system where I sort of double it back on itself and pull it real tight and hope for the best. I've used it most days recently because I've needed to, but I can't do it up because it is so big on me. And I've been like, not going to lie, this has got to be the most incredible thing ever, because the last time I used this, which wasn't that long ago, it was, trying to think if I think I've used it in this gym, in this version of the gym. I think I've used it. I definitely used it when there was no gym and it was just a garage. It has to have been in the last 3 years, let's put it that way. But if you work on the principle that each set of holes is an inch, that's crazy. I'm not going to lie, it was genuinely one of those moments where I was proper like, that's awesome. Such a way to mark how much weight was lost by going, holy shit. Now I have to make the decision whether I punch a couple of holes in this belt or if I just have to, buy a new one. It is listed, I think it's listed as extra large. I think I need like a medium. Not even kidding. Although, Leon read out the measurements for a medium, and I was like, well, that's not going to do it, because that's way too small. So, it might just be a large next time. Did I tell you about my car? Remember how they were going to charge me an absolute fortune to fix my car? Well, we decided that there was absolutely nothing that we could do. So we decided, fine, we're going to have to do the car situation. And this loops back into a lot of stuff that's been sort of woven through this episode. It's a hell of a lot of money to pay out, but we need the car. They got the part and they did the work. And they phoned us immediately. And I said, if they have rung, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. They have found, quote unquote, found a problem, and it's going to cost a fortune. And I mean a fortune to fix. If I was a betting man, I should have put a bet down that would have covered the amount of money that they want to fix the new problem they've found, because they were like, oh yeah, we put the part on and we did the fix, and in actual fact we found another problem, which means that for the £156 to do the diagnostics, they misdiagnosed the problem. You know, like they did the last time they had a car of mine. Paid for 2 repairs on that car within a week of each other. The first one they told me was categorically going to fix the car, and it didn't, and it had to go back a week later. And the second one, they were adamant it was absolutely going to fix the car, just like the first time. So yep, full of confidence. They want 1/3 of the value of the car to fix the car, and we said hell fucking no. So I went to their head office and I said, look, I don't believe that work has been carried out on this vehicle the way it should have been. And I've seen on the old Tinterwebs that if that's the case, then these repairs will be covered. And they said, oh, okay, let's look into that for you. And I said, thank you very much. 3 to 5 working days later, they came back and they went, nah, mate, it's too old. And I was like, okay, but the work was never carried out. They were like, we've got a record of it being carried out, so go fuck yourself. Cool, thanks for that. Contacted the garage and were like, can you confirm that this work was carried out? And they were like, yep, it's on the system. Gave us a completely different date. So it's on the system, the central system that they keep harping on about, all of the garages all in the same system. Yeah, every time you ask them for when the work was completed, they give you a different date, months apart. You know, that centralised system they've got. So we are now in a position where we're going to have to pay the money. Remember when I was saying about how life has a funny way of working out, how whenever you think you're just about getting yourself sorted, just about in a position where you might actually be able to, you know, live for once, life goes, are those 2 testicles I can see? Because this steel toe cap boot's looking real shiny. Excuse the slurps, by the way. I've inadvertently not drunk my drink this evening. So, again, looping back, I usually start by saying, I hope everyone's doing well, and if you're not, please do reach out. You know, it's important. If you're feeling like you're not coping, then do reach out. And then I went on to say, you know, I can understand because, quite frankly, I am not doing well at the moment. I feel like life has taken a shit in my mouth, slapped me across the face, kicked me in the balls, pulled my underwear over my head and thrown me down the stairs, quite frankly. And honestly, yeah. Anyway, the reason I didn't open with that was because it was something I wanted to talk about. Recently, a long-time friend of mine has done exactly that. Reached out, said, how you doing? I was like, I'm all right, how are you? Yeah, good. I was like, that I find that hard to believe, but okay. They were like, oh, what are you up to? I was like, oh, I'm hoovering. What are you up to? And they're like, oh, you know, just not a lot. I was like, all right, okay. They're like, you got any free time coming up? And I'm like, I got 4 kids. What is this free time you speak of? And I was like, yeah, it varies. Thinking about the fact that I was hoovering on my own, barring some animals. I felt like a bit of a fraud at that point in time. And this was the point where they then sort of revealed, and they said, you know, they're like, I'm struggling at the moment. I'm having a tough time. I'm struggling to fill like points in time, and that is meaning that I'm struggling with other areas. They're going through a particularly bad time at the moment. It's all, all understandable. And I was like, absolutely, definitely the right thing to do to reach out. And let's, what do you want to do? Let's do something. Let's, we'll get together. We'll do something. They were like, I don't care what it is. Let's just do something. And I was like, absolutely. When are you free? They were like, anytime really. I was like, right, well, let's get together. Let's do something. And it's that. The two things to this is, one, the absolute importance of reaching out. Because we all know what the other side of that is. That person doesn't reach out to anybody. They get further and further down the dark hole. I was going to say the rabbit hole, but the dark hole, and they go further and further and further, and then, nothing good comes of that. It's as simple as that. So it's super good, super comfortable, super confident that somebody has felt they're able to reach out. And I encourage absolutely anyone. The difference between saying, oh man, it's a bit of a tough day today, and not, can be a massive difference. I said there was two things. I can't remember the other thing at this moment in time. So yeah, like I say, there was two things. Can't remember the other thing. Finally finishing off for the week. Stepped on the scales this morning to be greeted by my second lowest weight. I want to lie and say unnatural, but obviously my week is very sort of formulaic at the moment. I have a couple of days of fasting, one of which being the day before weigh-in. My body has started to adjust to those days, and the days of eating and the days of not, and I think it's doing naughty stuff. But I did see my second lowest weight with no long-term fast, just a couple of days as standard. Been listening to a couple of podcasts recently that are talking about this and that and the other, and I've started thinking about a few things. Like Sunday, I'm very much about doing, for want of a better way of putting it, as little as possible. Not too many steps, no exercise, like I say, no eating, but drink as much fluid as possible. I will caveat that by saying recently I have started having a homemade protein shake, which I've been doing as like protein and testing different milks like soya and almond and oat and stuff. Peanut butter powder rather than actual peanut butter, and a certain fruit which has a certain benefit. Let's say, got to keep things moving. And I have resigned myself to having one of those on a fasting day. Fast is now in quote because obviously you're not fasting when you're having something like that. It's designed around two things. One is very much the helps with not eating, and two, helps to keep things moving. So yes, I think that there could be a blowout on the horizon. Recently, I've started feeling like I have become a little bit of a stick in the mud, maybe. That kind of, I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't eat this and I can't eat that and I can't go here and I can't go there. All because of, trying to keep the weight off and trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to do the other. The stuff I've been looking into recently does seem to lean towards that can end up being worse for you. So, give yourself a break. And that can sometimes be a break from everything, a break from a diet, a break from exercising like a madman, a break from, I listened to something today and it talked about like hair growth and how your hair's going to struggle to grow if you're not eating a certain amount. And I was like, that is A, fascinating, and B, makes so much sense. Like you can get it so that your fingernail growth slows because your body doesn't have the nutrients and things to grow fingernails. I was like, fucking hell, man. That's terrifying. So I think that's where you've gone too far. And it was talking about like low percentage body fat, like it was like below 5%. And I was like, Jesus, I'm sure you look great at below 5% body fat. Now I've said, I've gone on record saying I would like to get my body fat below what is registering as obese. But honestly, I don't seem to be able to do it. Like when you put the numbers into the calculator, I'm pretty sure the last time I did it, with an inch off the waist, a lower weight, I think the percentage went up. I genuinely think the percentage went up. It's fucking insane. Right, let's get into the fun stuff. Fun stuff's going to be a bit of a weird one this week because some of it actually ties back into... Like, there is a theme this week. I would think that would be kind of obvious at this point, but maybe that's just me. Like I was saying before, nearly finished Series 3 of Blacklist. This series has been good. However, the back end of the series has been strange because ultimately you know that a series that has 10 series and is telling you something that is categorically not true, you're waiting for the shoe to drop, essentially. So although you're like, ooh, this is exciting, you're also like, crack on. And the joke I keep using, because it just makes me laugh, is when's Superman going to turn up? Because, you've got Martian Manhunter and you've got Ultron and Mr. Terrific all fighting each other. So when's Superman going to turn up? That's deep cuts. Look at the cast list if you want to know. I watched the film Friday night, and honestly, I can't stop telling people about it because I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I mean thoroughly enjoyed it. So much so that I consider rewatching it this evening. This is a film that I really, really, really enjoyed for a multitude of reasons. Let's get into it. I watched the film Afflicted. So, a little while ago, conversation sparked, which ended in what's the 10 best vampire films? And we had these conversations going on. I had a conversation at work, I had a conversation at home. Does Interview with a Vampire appear on that list? Does John Carpenter's Vampires appear on that list? From Dusk Till Dawn, Lost Boys, go on. Did a search, and the internet was like, here's the 10 best vampire movies. And we'd heard of 4 of them. And I was like, the fuck do you mean? I've never heard of half of these films. And one of them was like a black and white punk movie that was also vampires. And there was another one that was like, oh, this is this really obscure vampire movie. It's like, that's not a vampire film. You need, vampires. And I think ultimately what makes certain vampire movies, Lost Boys, From Dusk Till Dawn, like I say, Interview with a Vampire, John Carpenter's Vampires, Dracula, these films they're just up there. Whether you like them or not, rightly or wrongly. We watched Dracula not too long ago, and I'm not going to lie, that film is fucking rough. There are so many things. Like, Keanu Reeves says that he should not have been cast in that film. And everybody that's seen that film thoroughly agrees with him. He is hands down the worst thing in that film. So, we were going through all this stuff, and this film popped up, this film, Afflicted. I never heard of it. And they were like, oh, it's a hand cam. Immediately I went, piss off. And it's this, and it's about these two guys, and they go on a trip, and then one of them gets turned into a vampire, and then it's like that. I was like, okay. Kind of in a way piqued my interest. I saw like some clips of it and stuff, watched a trailer. I was like, maybe. Went to buy it on Amazon on Prime. They wanted £8 for it. I was like, oh, it's a lot of money for a digital copy. And ummed for like a couple of weeks. When I went to buy it, they were like, this video is no longer available due to the loss of rights. And I was like, shit. Typical. Went to actual Amazon, and they were like, we've got it on Blu-ray for £8, but it's going to come from Italy. Don't worry, it's multi-region. And I was like, I don't trust that for a second, but sure, let's roll the dice. Took a little while to turn up, and then has been sat on my TV unit for a couple of months, maybe. I had a backlog. See previous is what I'll say there. Friday night. That's right. Here we go. It's time for the show. I was like, I got it on wraps, got it popped in. And away we went. And it was very much like, oh, these two guys are off to do this world tour. They're going to document it, documentary style. And that was that. I'm like, cool. Early on, one of them contracts vampirism. And it turns from, let's go on this world tour and document it, to let's find out what vampire abilities you have. So, whilst they're doing, let's face it, Shazam, at that point in time, in a lot of ways, the guy who's a vampire gets stronger in a multitude of ways, but also more vampire-esque. And they run into a problem, and I'm sure you can imagine what that is. And the film goes in a certain way, and then it starts getting a bit... You kind of get the idea where it's going before it gets there, which sometimes is a good sign of a film. Like you know what's happening, you know what's going on, you know what's coming. It did have a couple of jump scares in, which I'm not a massive fan of. I feel it's a little cheap. However, one of them was real pointless. The other one was so well done. It was the kind that you want to applaud. It was so good. The film reaches sort of like a crossroads, and then it goes off down a different path. The whole let's cure this vampirism, that old chestnut. And this was where the film really started to come into its own. They started obviously using like certain effects, vampire-based effects, filming techniques because of the documentary style stuff. There were a couple of points where I was like, you absolutely would not be filming this. But from a filming perspective, obviously you need to be, so I get it. The whole Chronicle thing of, oh, we're going to have this big superhero fight, but make sure to film it. You know, that sort of stuff. And, oh, I'm going to have a fight in this room, so I'm going to set up multiple cameras. That kind of thing. There were some points in this film that were fantastic. There was a bit where I was like, he's absolutely going to run through that wall. And something happened, something else happened, and then something else happened. And then he ran through a wall, and I was like, that's fucking brilliant. Genuinely, one of the best films I've seen recently. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't stop telling people about it. I'm like, oh, I watched the film the other day. It was really good. It was an hour and 20 minutes long. Just perfection. Just really good. Now, here's the thing. I saw when I put it on that it had some special features, so I was like, okay. I enjoyed that enough to check out the special features. That's how I roll. One of them was the making of. I was like, I want to know. I want to know. The film is considered a low-budget indie movie. Now you're thinking, okay, which way is he going to go? Low budget, just $100 million. Or low budget, $300,000. When they said that they managed to raise $300,000, I was like, $300,000 for what? To put down as collateral on a bank loan to get several millions to make this movie? The fuck did you do with $300,000? I'm surprised you could get to the places you went for that. So, then they were showing some of the rigs that they used for some of the superhero stuff. They showed some of the tricks that they used. They showed the fact that obviously they needed a couple of bits of CG here and there. Some of the special effects. I was like, the fact you managed to get this film made on $300,000 is the best bit of it. This is so good for what is so low. And again, this comes back to, I'm going to go on to something else in a bit, where I'm going to talk about massive studios can't get a piece of dog shit over the line, yet a group of guys can be like, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. Anyway, something. This film, for the money that it cost, I genuinely hope that it's this film cost us $300,000 to make, but we in fact, fuck it, you know what? I want to know how much money that film made. Afflicted. 2013 film numbers. Will that do it? Oh no. You're joking. Oh, that's real. That's not good. Okay. AI. Fuck off AI, but whatever. The film Afflicted 2013 had a very limited theatrical release, and its total domestic box office gross was $121,179. It opened in 44 theatres with an opening weekend gross of $69,447. The film has a budget of approximately $318,000, making its gross a little over a third of its production cost. That's not fun. US and Canada, worldwide. Which film was highest grossing worldwide in 2013? I feel that is such a shame. Like I say, I really wanted it to be this film cost $300,000 and it made $10 million. Is what I wanted that to say. I know it won awards. It even says at the end that it won an award. I'm certainly going to give it an award. I'm going to say it could be the best film I've seen this year for a multitude of reasons. I just wanted to, stand up, round of applause, tip my hat and everything else. Just really, really good movie. Anyway, now that I've finished going on and on and on about that, let's talk some computer games. And computer games tie back into what I've just spoken about. Been playing a lot for my sins. DC Universe Online. Desperately trying to keep ahead of where my eldest daughter is up to on the game so that I can still try and help. We will reach a point where we both have to kind of do it together because I've never really got to this point with another person playing. I have played in the past with other people, but not like this. So I've been sort of Googling a lot, looking up a lot of stuff, sort of trying to keep ahead. But I know full well that there's going to be a point where she's going to be like, what about this? I'll be like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Let's find out. I got another character up to max level and beyond. And weirdly, I was like, right, I'm going to spend all of the stuff I've been gathering through the game and managed to make them my third highest level character. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. Great from a playing perspective, but one of those characters is 15 years old. I don't know how I feel. In my travels around the internet, I was made aware of a game that had gone into early access. And I can't imagine how this has fallen on my doorstep, because it's called Superhero Simulator. Like I say, game in early access on Steam. They want £8.50 for it, or at least they did at that point in time. And I looked at it and I said to my eldest, look at this game, what do you think? I was like, they want £8.50. And honestly, I think I'm prepared to give them £8.50 just to find out if it is what it looks like. She was like, yeah, do it. I was like, okay, I will. £8.50 later, we own Superhero Simulator, and both of us have kind of enjoyed it to a degree. It was the point where the game turned into Crazy Taxi that I went, this wasn't what I expected. Short version is you're a superhero and you've got to go do superhero things. You've got to fly around the city or run if you want, saving the citizens. An interesting element is, if you so choose, you can fly straight through a building. Now, it does have its downsides, and those downsides are you lose, it's like a respect kind of thing, like a superhero rating. So, not good. But you genuinely can fly through a building and leave a giant hole in that building, which you can then just fly back through, which is a bit like, I don't know how else you slice it. That's fucking cool, man. At this moment in time, the missions are quite repetitive. And you are a person who needs to, live. More importantly, pay rent. And that's why it's Crazy Taxi, because you can be a taxi driver to earn money. It's fine. It's had a couple of sort of things where you're like, oh, there's your early access right there, boys and girls. I have high hopes, but I think those hopes will be fulfilled further down the line in the early access. Speaking of superhero games, I was made aware of a game called Undefeated, which is a free game on the PlayStation 5. Basically an unheard of concept. But there you have it. And it's described as a game made by three guys, and it's essentially Superman the game. I downloaded it last night because it was quite small. That's what she said. And I gave it a little 20-minute go. And honestly, brilliant. So good. Just like three guys made this game and it's free. And it's a lot of fun. And you basically play as Superman doing Superman stuff. Yep, that's exactly what people want. Why can't big budget game companies make games like this? It doesn't make sense. Apparently, if you look hard enough, there is also a Flash game out there. Probably going to look into that. Finally, no surprises. In the VR world, I've been playing the Into the Radius 2 active beta. Bear in mind, Into the Radius 2 is also still in early access. I've been playing the active beta version, and I've deemed the game too hard. I've managed to get 2 or 3 mods on. One of them doesn't seem to be working. Need to look into that. The other two are like you can just carry more stuff and more ammo in your mags. I genuinely think the game, the vanilla version of the game, is actually too hard. I think you need the mods, and I do hope that the people making the game, they've acknowledged the mods and they're like, do what you want, just don't fuck around. And it's like, that's cool, but at the same time, can you not take on board some of the reasons that we need these mods? Problem I've got is that the game wants me to go and do a main mission. And I'm like, that's fine. I'd just like a half decent gun to go and do that. And the game's like, sorry, matey. Not today. Or tomorrow. Or any time soon. And I'm like, then I can't progress in the game. I'm something like 12 hours in. And I've only just purchased. I'm not even going to say it's a machine gun. It's like, it is a machine gun in all intents and purposes, but it uses tiny little bullets, so not a lot of use. I only want the mod that makes everything in the shop half price, because that would be really useful. Anyway, I'm kind of hoping that, well, here's what I hope. What I hope is that the active beta goes well. They put the beta back into live, and then the people that make the mods work for this version of the game, and I can go back to properly playing, if you know what I mean. But that is probably a story for another day. Thank you for listening. Sorry for the ranting. Honestly, I've been kind of waiting to get on the podcast this week. Just like a friend reached out to me. I hate to say it, but I kind of reach out to you. I once heard a lady quote say, why is it that men start a podcast instead of going to a therapist? And I laughed. Because it's true. Anyway, that's it for this one. I'll catch you next time. So there we go. What do you think to that? Like I say, it was let's face it, a bit of a shit sandwich, that one. Some good, some bad, some good, some bad. It was a good movie this week. Thoroughly encourage you to watch it. It was fantastic. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Before you leave us, if you're new, click all the buttons that you can see on the screen right now, or on your phone, or on whatever app you're using. Just press buttons. The good things will happen. Like, share, subscribe, comment, say, love it. Like I say, maybe not this episode, but you know. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. And I do encourage you to get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
You've just listened to another episode of Cookie Cast. Thanks for listening.